And on to the next video, and we strip the movement, the base caliber in this particular one. As you can see, we've already removed the balance and the pallets prior to removing the chronograph components. The next step is removing the ratchet wheel and the crown wheel. A little bit of dirt and grease underneath there. The click for the ratchet wheel. Before that makes a bid for freedom. Two very tiny screws which hold the crown wheel in place. These setups always remind me of a little surprised face. I'm sure you can see what I mean there. This should then lift away, and it's not at all uncommon for these to be a little bit sticky because of old lubrication and sitting stuck in place, so a little bit of encouragement. And this centre portion and the outer ring should separate like so. Next for removal is the bridge for the escape and fourth wheel. In this case held by a single screw. Care must be taken when lifting this bridge, and the same applies for any chronograph because of the extended fourth wheel pivot here. At this point we can remove the escape wheel. Pop that to one side for inspection before cleaning. Usually the fourth wheel won't come out because there's not enough clearance, as you can see, and it's underneath the third wheel there. So the next step is removing the barrel and train bridge. Typically held by 3 screws, as it's a large bridge, not quite a 3/4, but covers just over half of the base movement. Always a good idea to check and be sure that all of these securing screws are the same length before you take them out and throw them all in the parts tray. In this case they are, as you can see, so that's fine. Sometimes you will find that one of the 3 is slightly shorter than the others, depending on the watch, depending on the movement. Always a good idea to check and be certain. This should need a little bit of wiggling because not only does it have to lift away from the movement plate, but also over the setting lever screw here. And usually you will find that there are little indentations, little slots, which are specifically designed for doing this, and they will be spaced strategically around the outside of the movement. This is one of the slight downsides to these 3D printed movement holders that I make. While I love how they are gripping the movement well without the risk of marking and damaging it, because they grip all the way around, almost all the way around, it does mean access like this can be a little bit awkward. You sometimes have to lift them a little, but there you go. A little bit dirty, but not too bad. Not too bad at all. And the second wheel arbor hole, most importantly, is in good condition, because these have a tendency to wear along with the barrel arbor holes, because generally speaking the barrel and second wheel arbor holes are not jeweled. So we'll go ahead and remove the train with the third wheel and the fourth wheel. Now what I should have done first and neglected to do was actually remove the canon pinion, which I haven't, so I won't be able to remove that just yet. But note that the fourth wheel goes under this little cutout, so it needs to be tilted up very slightly as you lift it out, or slid back in there as you refit it, as it were, which I'm just trying to demonstrate here and keeping it on the camera like so. And we'll just go ahead and remove the mainspring barrel, which looks in good order. We'll pop the mainspring out of that in a moment. Just now I'm going to turn this over and we will remove the canon pinion. Removing the canon pinion will of course just allow the second wheel to drop, so what I'm going to do is just support that with my finger while I go ahead and remove that canon pinion like so. These Presto tools sometimes will remove a canon pinion with no problem, sometimes they won't. It just depends on the pinion on the machine. I use sturdy tweezers typically, but where I can I will use the Presto tool because it provides a straight upward pull. So that's the canon pinion, which I'm just going to pop aside because that needs to go into a separate little component. Flip that back over like so, and then I can lift out the second wheel. And its lower arbor on the plate, as you can see, is also in excellent condition, which is good to see. I'm going to pop all the wheels up here out of the way at the moment, and they will get a visual inspection of all the pinion leaves and the gear teeth before they go into the parts tray ready for the cleaning basket. At this point I can go ahead and unscrew the setting lever screw completely. And I just heard the setting lever drop away on the other side there. That should now pull through. It's a little stiff, but there we go. Let's take out the stem. That will allow me to lift away the winding pinion and the clutch, which in this case has just come away as a complete unit, but as you can see will separate accordingly. Can now flip the movement over, and as you can see the setting lever has dropped out for us there, so we'll just reposition that accordingly. So you can see the threaded hole is where the setting lever screw comes through, and it fits like so or rather with this little indent here just under the setting lever spring, like so. The only things to remove on this side are the setting lever spring, and the ping that you possibly saw just there was the setting lever zipping out again as I release the tension on the yoke spring there, but that's okay, we will recover that momentarily. Setting lever spring lifts away along with the minute wheel, which typically it wouldn't, that usually just remains on its post. It's obviously a little sticky there with lubricant, and also the intermediate wheel that we see there. You'll see in this particular instance there are two intermediate wheels. That's something you sometimes see. Sometimes you only have the one intermediate wheel, sometimes you have the two. So that's the setting lever spring. Apologies if I was off screen there. Setting lever spring, yoke spring, quite a strong one, shepherd's crook spring. The yoke, making note of the orientation it fits back on, so the lump is towards the centre. The setting lever, of course, that you originally saw, which has zinged off but will be recovered. The minute wheel, and then the two intermediate wheels, which, as you can see, it's impossible to mix up because one is small and one is large. That's our plate completely disassembled. The only parts to be removed at this point are the chaton and end stone of the balance after we refit the balance. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I won't be removing the jewels right at this specific moment in time. That will be done immediately before it goes into the pre-clean basket and then the cleaning machine. Because prior to going into the pre-clean basket, the balance will be removed once again, so that the plate can actually be pre-cleaned, then the balance refitted, the chaton and end stones removed, and the whole thing will go through the cleaning machine to give it a really thorough clean. So that's the base movement completely disassembled, deconstructed, and what we have now, if I can focus down here for you, is the mainspring. We're going to see what that's like. It's a relatively new style one. It's a white metal, or unbreakable as they are referred to. Before taking out the mainspring, take note of the orientation. This is anti-clockwise with the screw for the ratchet wheel on the underside, as it were. You can usually tell which way the spring coils if you do forget by looking at the barrel arbor. So we're going to take out the mainspring, get that focused for you so you can see what's going on. I usually skip this bit, but as I'm sort of filming this and talking you through it live as we do it, I thought I might as well get the focus for you. Sorry about this, I've not got autofocus on this. I thought I might as well do that as we go through it. That's actually surprisingly good, and potentially even, sorry about going off the screen there, but I just wanted to make sure I caught the last bits of that. So that's the mainspring barrel, a little bit dirty, and that's the mainspring. But interestingly, this is not in bad condition, so I think this was not serviced too very long ago, looking at it. I'd say it's just unfortunate about the marks that have been made on the chronograph, under the chronograph bridge, and the sticky minute recorder wheel, because it's really not too bad. I would personally still change the mainspring in this, and I will measure that to see if that's the correct specified one, because the amplitude was a little low on testing. Not very low, but we'll see. So the only things remaining to do now are visual inspection of the wheels prior to everything going through pre-cleaning and then cleaning, as mentioned, is a physical examination of the train of wheels, and the same goes for the dial side train. And what we're looking for is the cleanliness and condition of all of the pivots, all of the pinion leaves, and all of the gear teeth, to make sure that none are deformed, bent or damaged in any way. There's no corrosion on any of them, and everything is clean and free of any debris that can cause a hang up, because the slightest amount of dirt or anything in among this lot will hang up the train in no time at all. In addition to that, we're also inspecting the teeth of the escape wheel to ensure that they are formed well, they're not worn excessively and the like. So with this strip down completed, the movement, as mentioned, is ready for a pre-clean. For the pre-clean procedure, I use typically isopropyl alcohol, and everything excepting the balance wheel and the pallet fork get dipped into that. For those, I will use naphtha or white spirit or toluene or something along those lines. And then everything is cleaned in a small jar with a brush, just gentle brushing to get rid of the worst of the detritus. The jewel holes are then pegged out with pegwood. Everything is blow dried, and then the whole thing gets put into the baskets for the cleaning machine. So that's where we're at the moment. Thank you for watching so far, and join us for the rebuild.